want to talk about a topic that is close to home, and I want to talk about how reading helps my anxiety. I either have done or am doing a video on my own channel, if it's up at this moment, I will link it down below, about my struggles with anxiety and depression, and I think it's something that a lot of writers or readers or introverts in general go through. And as I do use reading as an escape, I use writing as an escape, because sometimes all the thoughts and the pressures and the stresses just build up so much that I need to distract myself, otherwise I am just going to spiral completely down into a hole of not wanting to leave my bed and canceling all my plans ever and just being generally depressing. There's that whole thing about how solving other people's problems is easier than solving your own problems, and I do find that definitely true. So when I read these books about other people having issues, I'm like, oh, well, at least I don't have to go slay that dragon, like, whew, okay then. And that's mostly why I like reading fantasy novels, is because in a contemporary novel, I'm like, oh my god, I also understand why you are stressing about this final exam, or about why that boy doesn't like you. But in fantasy novels, it's like, I'm never going to have to go slay a dragon, I don't think. But I like that more because I know that that is never going to happen, so it gets me out of my head easier than if I'm reading a book about why the popular kid is being mean to you. Part of my anxiety is intrusive thoughts, and that's just a huge issue for me all the time. I worry about everything, I stress about everything, and it's kind of nice to be able to read about something that I know I can't stress over because it would never happen. That's one of the reasons I really liked Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I have a lot of things to say about this book. I think we're gonna do a WordNerd book club for this eventually. I hope so. I have a lot of feelings about this, good and bad. Anyways, I really liked how the intrusive thoughts were portrayed in this, and I think that myself personally, it could have gone way farther than it did, but I like that this is the first book I've ever read where a character does have intrusive thoughts, and it literally is Turtles All the Way Down. Similarly, there are books that I really couldn't read because it was a little too close to home, or it took me forever to read them. Like, Under Rose-Tainted Skies by Louise Gornell is a fantastic book. It's about a girl who has OCD and agoraphobia, and as someone with anxiety, like, this was so awful to read because the main character is such an anxious person, and so I was just super anxious reading this the whole time because I get exactly why her brain is telling her to be anxious about things. Similarly, A Torch Against the Night by Safa Tahir, while being a fantastic book, this gave me the worst anxiety ever because so many people are getting killed, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of, like, awful things happening, there's a lot of things that are happening that aren't being stopped in time, and it stressed me out. I had to read this in chunks, like I couldn't just read it because it was so stressful. Even if I'm stressed about things that are actually real, those characters I know will solve them, and that's why I like books in general, is because I know that something will be solved. I know it might not be solved in the way I want it to be, but it's a lot less anxiety-inducing for me being like, what's gonna happen tomorrow? I think this is gonna happen and this might go down, but in a book I could be like, yep, this person is gonna do this, and then they're gonna do this, and oh hey, this person ended up being dead, but no matter. Everything's gonna wrap up in like a perfect bow, and I know what's gonna happen, there's gonna be a solid conclusion, and that lays my stress to rest. Also, sometimes if I feel like I'm not doing anything, or I'm getting stressed because I haven't finished enough things, finishing a book actually helps relieve that because I'm like finishing something. I am finishing reading a book, I'm wrapping something up, and then I can put that aside and focus all my attention on something else. I'm not saying that you should just like drop all your responsibilities and then go read something. No, no, no. I'm just saying that if I'm like almost done a book and I'm like stressing about other things, taking like 30 minutes or an hour to finish that book refocuses me so that I can be like, okay, I'm done this and now I can move on to that. I think reading helps my anxiety because it allows me to take a step back from what I'm anxious about, which is like everything. That being said, please join us for our live chat at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube on Sunday. It's gonna be a blasty blast. I don't remember what we're talking about, but I'm sure it's gonna be great, and I hope to see you guys all there.